Bad, it's
And
good.
I think we are live. There we go.
It's so bad, it's good. Hello and good morning.
Uh,
It's hello and good
yes.
morning. I just got my first. I got my first dose of Cobus morning jokes.
Mm.
Horrible, horrible, horrible morning jokes. But hey, it's
Did
fine.
did we actually share that? Because that joke was last week and we didn't stream on the AWS channel for that. The person who hopped in, which was doing the stream, we hop in. Yeah, the person says, and we serious questions, and they come up with. So I was asked last week, very quick, to quickly name two water containers, and I was like, well, damn, and that's it. And we're like, yeah. So, good morning, everyone.
Good morning, everyone.
Welcome to another session of Bean Streaming. Let me quickly pop the banner up there. That one, there we go. And this is where Darko and myself build out different things. And we are going to continue where we left off about a week ago. Last week, we didn't stream on the AWS channel due
Yep.
to some community activities and other events that were up. So, we are now going to continue with our ECS production ready cluster. And what we've been doing so far is to build it out with AWS CDK. And I think the last time, which a while back, we got DNS and a SSL certificate up and running on a custom domain. That custom domain is, however, in my account. So I think our starting point today will be to rip that out. And actually, because we are in the process of setting up a domain for ourselves to actually
Correct.
use, we just haven't gotten around to it. I would like to cite a technical or any other kind of reason, but as you hopefully know by now, most problems are people problems, and the people problems are these two in front of you at the moment. So,
Exactly.
what are we going to do today?
So
We are
today,
going to,
yeah, we're gonna continue
yeah,
building,
sorry.
but I'm not sure what are we gonna do. So I'm actually just trying to wrap my head around what. Because, mind you, everybody, this is not prepared in any way. We just take the repository we did 2 weeks ago
I
and
think
just
it's
like,
obvious.
let's see how does it work. So, because I want to
Yeah,
see, aha, I have the stack here. I want to destroy the
yeah.
stack.
So what we've got with the stack, what we can actually do, let me just quickly jump to the comments. I see, and good morning, people.
Oh, good morning. Dennis and SQL Heisenberg. Hi, Janan. Janan is one of our AWS community heroes. He's from Bosnia. Hi, Janan. A good friend of mine. And Guru Kathrivel asks, please suggest DevOps path in AWS and currently holding CCP certification. What is CCP? Is it Cisco Certified Professional?
Uh, could
No.
be. Let's Google it quickly. I actually
CC.
don't know. CCP cert. Let's see. Certified Compensation Professional.
Oh, John,
I
good
actually don't
evening
know
from
that one.
Australia. Wow.
It could be GCP, if it
Okay,
was a
it could be
typo in
GCP.
terms of.
Yeah, makes sense.
AWS Cloud Practitioner. Okay.
Ah,
Certified Cloud Practitioner. There we go. I always forget that it's got that certified in front of it. So what I would do there in terms of the DevOps path is that how it works is you start off with a cloud practitioner, and then it diverges into the sysadmin path, the developer path, and the solution architecture path. I believe they've got those three.
yep.
And then after that, for the professional level, you've got the solution architect as well as the DevOps. Which means that to get to DevOps, in theory, you could just literally jump directly to it and take that certification because we no longer have the prerequisite of having to finish some of the associate levels. But what I would start with is have a look at both the sysadmin and the developer certificate and go look at the content that they cover. Because at the end of the day, you want to cover both of those sets of content because that's what you need for the DevOps one, because Dev and Ops literally together, DevOps. So have a look at those two and start with them and pick the one, for example, that you feel most comfortable with. It's always good to get a certificate and then because that helps build your motivation firstly, and also it helps you validate the skills that you already have. So I would go that route. And then once you have that, get the other one and then finally go for the DevOps one to actually work on it.
Yep, I agree. So, Dennis, it's not sysadmin. It's are you talking about sysops, right? Or but yeah,
Let me actually AWS.
Alexa certification. Do I need all the others first? Yeah, but by the way, it's relatively easy to get started on developing on Alexa. I once delivered a workshop on Alexa, and it was I've never done it before, and it took me just maybe a week of just some fiddling around with she who must not be named. the way we can kind of interact. It's basically just a bunch of Lambda functions. Yeah, sysops. Okay, thanks. Yeah, that's the point, Dennis. Yeah. Cool. All right. Let's see. I guess the thing we're going to be starting today is basically, well, not starting. We're going to be continuing on with the AWS CDK. Last we left, as Cobus said, we did some certifications, some domain setups, but it was all in a different account. So I guess the first part of this stream is going to be figuring out how it's going to work back into my own account with some tweaks.
So I've got a fun challenge for us there.
Okay.
I have got my console logged in for my personal account that I use where I register domains. So why don't we do the following? You start coding out a Route53 zone, and I go ahead and register a domain for us quickly, and then we see how quickly we can flip this over.
Okay, sure. Let's do it. But before we actually do that, there's some things we need to fix, and this is going to be one of the fun parts about CDK, at least that I've figured out when it comes to CDK is actually just enable the screen here and do something. So it's not the code. The code is okay, right? The code is basically something that Cobus did last time. Some of it has to be changed, but the problem here is going to be in package.json. Because it currently has these dependencies here on 156. I have the latest version of CDK, which is 161. So if I would do npm install, it will actually install the older versions of the packages, right? So it would install the older 156 versions here. So not sure how this will pan out in the long run, but let's have a look. I'm not sure if this is going to be successfully good, because is it going to be using my own CDK global version 161, or do I need to somehow downgrade it to 156? So this will be very interesting to see. I mean, the thing is, most of the things have not changed here. We just need to be consistent that we are using the actual exact same versions across the board when it comes to CDK packages. So if I would do npm, if I would do CDK version, right, I would get 161. Yes. So this is the latest one, and it's using different versions of the packages here. So npm run build should go fine, because there should be no issues here, I believe, unless the CDK core is different, but it should not be. So the core should also be the same. And if I would CDK, let me just see if this thing has been deleted, because I'm still trying to delete the old stack. It's still under delete in progress, but that's okay. Is there anything here that I can just kind of ignore for the time being? Delete in progress, currently deleting subnets, pipelines. That's fine. If I do CDK synth, let's see if this will work. DeAndre, is that today's saddle? Today's saddle is let's continue building on CDK, well, as we did last time. So, okay, it's successfully synthesized, so that seems to work. So, Andre, we're basically continuing what we did a long time ago, as where we build our fully fledged container-based application with CDK. And Guruk, just to answer your question, Guruk says, I'm currently doing CI/CD pipeline learning using AWS. Please suggest good learning materials other than AWS documentation. Well, if you're just going for DevOps, right, it's very difficult to define DevOps learning materials, because what is DevOps? Can you explain what DevOps is? Is CI/CD DevOps? It's not. There's a whole lot of things when it comes to DevOps that you can learn. I would suggest one book for DevOps if you want to really get into what DevOps is and why DevOps exists, and that's the Phoenix Project. It's something that I would always recommend, so check that out. It's a really great novel about IT and DevOps. And its accompanying book, the DevOps Handbook, is a really great, accompanying book for all of that. So, okay, so this has worked. It will not work in the deploy phase, because I don't have the domain there, button monkey coza, so I need to change those things.
Yeah.
So,
I will be able to tell you in 2 seconds.
that's
I
okay.
found us a domain. It's
Okay.
eveneco.com.
Okay, wow. So,
Yes, unfortunately, 3Bs was taken.
no.
And I don't want to pay for one of the vanity extensions. They are way too expensive. So,
No, why not? Okay, so we need to create a domain, right? Okay, we need to figure out how to do a Route 53 zone here.
Yes.
So CDK.
Cool. Continue. I accept the terms and conditions. I am completing the order. Order has been submitted successfully.
Good.
Dun, dun, dun. So I'll send you the domain in Slack quickly.
Okay. So I need to create a hosted zone here on Route 53. Basically, this is all I need here, right? So a publicly hosted zone. Perfect.
Yeah. So just quickly, for those not familiar with Route53, it's the DNS service that we have on AWS that you can use to firstly host DNS and configure it, but also to register domains. So you can actually do that from the comfort of your AWS account now, which is exactly what I did. So I've got a private account that I just used to quickly register this with, and we are now just waiting for the confirmation that the domain has been registered. That normally takes a minute or two.
Okay, we have Route 53 set up here on this account on this setup here. So that's good. Did we import it? Yeah, we did import it. Cool. So basically, we need to create this.
Create a zone. Yeah.
So I'm gonna do this at the top. Oh, sorry, like that.
I think we should probably spend some time at some point splitting this into multiple files.
Yes.
Because it's getting a little bit messy now.
Well, we actually need to define. We need to split it in multiple stacks. That's the thing. So it's not just a matter of multiple files; it's multiple stacks in this case. Because one of the things that I have here is we are basically doing everything in a single stack, which you shouldn't do, right? Including domain zones and all those things. You should split it up into multiple stacks. Even though if you may do it from a single CDK bundle, you want to do it in different stacks. So that's something we're going to be setting up definitely. So constant, we're going to call it hosted zone, right?
Just quickly, SQL Heisenberg, that question around doing a workshop would be great. It's a very, very good observation, and I can't confirm or deny that Darko and myself are currently working on the content for one of these as a full-day workshop.
Yes.
And it won't cover things like DevOps and automation and how to do everything in AWS.
Okay, we have a domain name, bearded bald beans.com. Okay, wow. Cool. So
that's what happens when you leave me to name things.
Yeah. So this, in essence, will create a hosted zone. Now, once I create a hosted zone, I will potentially need the name server, or you need to set up the name servers on your end. So, see, this is why this has to be on a separate account, because if I destroy this stack, it removes the hosted zone.
Yes, but see, the reason why I'm doing it like this time is that what we're going to do is we're going to start using the joint accounts that we are in the process of setting up, which means that as soon as that's done, all we do is we update the registrar to point to that set of name servers, and then we are good to go.
Okay. No, absolutely. So, one thing I have to set up here.
Let me quickly double check if I need to click on a link. It's been a while since I've done a domain.
If I delete the domain on Route 53, sorry, not the domain, hosted zone on Route 53, and it comes and then I recreate it again, does it create new? Does it use new name servers? Do you have to update the name servers on your end as well? So every time I would delete the stack, you would have to modify it on your end as well.
Yes, it sounds like something we'd want to put in a separate stack, don't you?
Exactly.
But not today. Let's first get it working again. Yeah.
Okay. So
one of the fun joys of refactoring is don't try and chew off too much in the first go.
Yeah. So so this is something we have to fix here. So it's gonna be, the main name is gonna be actually bald bearded beans No, bearded bald beans,
Yeah.
bearded bald beans. Okay, bearded bald.
Wait, did we want bold bearded beans rather?
Doesn't matter. It's
And actually, it says it's easier to say
bald
bearded
bearded
bold
beans is
beans.
simple. Yeah, but it's fine.
Uh, uh,
That's okay. It's okay. It's gonna work. It's a POC anyway. So we're just changing the certificate here like that. And the hosted zone, actually, we can just basically use a hosted zone here. So because we set up hosted zone as an object before, this should not work. Now, wondering, well, this should work. And the thing is, the DNS certification validation will not go through. It will fail. But that's okay, I guess, because the validation will fail because you don't have it pointing at the right place. It will fail only for the first time, because until we have deployed everything here, just see, has this been deleted completely? It has. Cool. So in essence, this should weirdly enough work. So basically, with just a few changes here by creating the Route53 hosted zone here, right? With creating the Route53 hosted zone here, come on, with that, yeah, by creating a completely new zone in DNS. Oh, now this is the zone that Cobus has actually registered on his own account, and I will create a hosted zone in my own account. The way we can make this work is by Cobus actually pointing his name servers to my name servers. Simple as that. And at the end of here, we have basically just change the certificate generation or certificate DNS validation approach from a domain name which was button monkey to the new domain, and the hosted zone, instead of doing a basically hosted zone from a lookup, we've just pointed it to the hosted zone that we already have, that we just created actually. So if I would be doing npm run build,
let's see. Sorry, I'm also clicking around here just to see if there's a message I need to click on. Because I know sometimes we have that with when you register domains. Okay. I don't think so with AWS.
No. It should be automatically done, I think. Fun fact, cool. if you register domains on AWS, you cannot use AWS credits for that. So if you have AWS credits in your account, you will be charged for a hosted domain. So that's one thing that's very important to understand. All right, and CDK deploy. Deploy.
For a hosted zone or for just registering a domain?
For registering a domain. So hosted zones, there is free, of course, but See what it throws an error? Because I forgot something.
Yes.
Last time we did something here. Yeah, we set up
we hard-coded account IDs, which is bad.
IDs,
okay.
Yeah. Can I get this account somehow? Is it from a variable? No. Okay, doesn't matter. What is my account ID? What did I say? It
was literally there in the error. There we go. Oh, Vim shortcuts.
Yeah. I haven't used the Vim in like a week, so I feel weird. Okay, this should work.
All Vimmed out.
All Vimmed out. Also, there is a workshop if you're really interested. But it's called there's a serverless DevOps workshop. There's a lot of DevOps focus on it as well. So if you want to check that out, it's on GitHub. But just search GitHub for AWS AWS serverless workshop or modern application workshop. It should contain a bunch of things regarding DevOps and things that are interesting to you. So
let's have a look here. I'm going to paste a link for the one that I found. I found this one. No, wait, that's that one. Cool. There we go. There's the link.
Yeah. So deploying these changes. Now it's going to take a while for this thing to deploy, and there's also potential that it's not going to be deployed successfully. So let's see how this happens.
That's
one of the first things I really want to one of the first things I really want to see is the Route53, because I want to pass you on the name servers as soon as possible. So as soon as this thing is created, I'm going to pass you on the name servers. So if I got the hosted zones.
Ooh, now we can see all the different DNSs.
Yeah.
Oh, let's see what you've got. I want to see which ones you don't use.
No, not much. This is the one. Do you have the my instance of this domain? This is the.
No.
Okay, so this is something we got in premium support, myinstance.com. So this is a AWS owned DNS name, I think, and we use this for
Okay.
testing Route53 inside of premium support. So because you couldn't,
Nice.
you cannot register DNS names here. So these are all from my personal accounts, but I'm just managing them on the side. So
Yeah. Cool. So my
but
one is still stuck.
has it not registered at all, or?
No. It's in the process of registration because I know it normally goes through a couple of steps and validation and names and.
Okay.
Let's have a look here. Boom. There's a good chance I'm just missing something. Like I said, it's been a while since I registered a domain. I actually at one point started actively giving away my domains and getting rid of them because, I had too many.
Oh yeah. Sometimes when you like go crazy on domain name registration.
So I'm now down to only owning 13.
Only 13. Wow.
Only 13. I'm very good. I must say my favorite one is still.
I don't have that.
I used to have a lot more, but I just gave up on side projects. There's one still that I believe that I will finish this because it's just fun. I had this, and this is now many years ago, many years being 2012. I did a stint where I did some mobile development for iOS and Android apps. So,
Cobus, here are the domain names if you want.
Okay, cool. Can you pop them to me in Slack, please? Or is that? Oh no, that's going to be hard. Okay.
No, I can, but it takes me a minute. Just talk your story.
Cool. Yeah.
Tell your story.
So basically, the story. So just context around here. This is obviously it's almost a decade ago when I decided that I want to build this app. So obviously, young Cobus had this idea like you just build an app and you're going to make money with it. So I had this idea and I bought a domain called tinkletones.com. Now, Darko, if I gave you that domain name, what did you think that app would do?
Something to do with number one or going
Yes.
C. Yeah.
Exactly. So at least, okay, so first step is right. I got the naming perfect. So at that point, I had literally had this problem where there were sometimes like these massively long planning meetings and things that would last a few hours.
Okay.
And then going into the bathroom in the middle is not that great because then you miss out on some of the conversation, etc. And they didn't always have bio breaks scheduled. So I thought I'm going to solve this problem because, everybody has to have this problem. So the idea of this app was that it would have a bunch of different water sounds from like rivers and oceans and things, but it would be localized. It'd be like you could, for extra in-app purchase, you could get your sound from your local river. And then you'd listen to this because, as we all know, if you listen to water gurgling, then you kind of want to run to the bathroom. Right. And you could use this to preemptively go to the bathroom before meetings. So that was my brilliant business idea. That was going to make me a millionaire.
That's okay. By the way, here's a little thing we can see from CDK that it created a record name here for DNS validation. So there's a CNAME record here. There's big old record name that basically just tries to validate DNS. Now it's gonna fail because, it will take a moment or so for this to work. Just to answer a question from Zindaba. Have you guys heard from a Chrome section called console recorder that records actions made in console outputs? Yes, I have. And I've been showing that a few times on stage to people. It's great. It's not perfect by any means. It doesn't record everything, right? And when it records in a very verbose way. So if you're gonna generate some API calls and those kind of things from that, it's going to generate all the API calls, all the describes, all the lists. So, and it doesn't work for everything. But if you want to create something really quick, if you're like, hey, I want to create an autoscaling group in CloudFormation, but I just don't want to meddle around with documentation, you can easily create some basic template-ish, something like that, right? Some basic boilerplate template for your application, then modify it a bit to work. So I would not use console recorder as like a fully fledged tool that helps you do everything, because it just doesn't support all the things. So, but it's a great way to start. So.
But I mean, also interesting side effect of doing everything as infrastructure as code, I found, at least over the years, is that it became slower for me to click around in the console to do things than it is to quickly type and copy paste and use my modules and components that I pre-built.
You forget. Like a lot of times, like especially like creating auto-scaling groups, right? I used to do that manually before. That was just the thing. But since I've started doing them like in CDK and in CloudFormation, I really don't I forget how to do it in the console. And the least amount of the most console I use is this one, is CloudFormation. This is the console I use the most, and maybe EC2 when I just look up instances. But in general, I get surprised by console redesigns, right? I didn't even know that EC2 was redesigning completely, and even at one point I was surprised by autoscaling that has like a completely new console. I'm like, what? It's just I don't use it. I don't really use it at all. So, which is a good thing.
Yeah. Let's have a look here quick. Sorry, it's interesting. The domain is still in the process of being registered.
Okay.
So I actually have no idea how long this normally takes on AWS. I did my previous ones like over a weekend and then left it and came back on Monday.
Okay.
So yeah.
So maybe this will not work as expected today. So maybe we will just revert to a temporary domain for the time being. And,
well, let's actually do that so long.
Okay.
So we've got that button monkey one that I can use.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Okay. So I just need to wait for this thing to finish, because
oh, there we go. As we say it, I get a mail saying that the domain has been registered. Wow.
Excellent.
Next time I'm going to do that as soon as we do it.
Can you add the name servers now? I mean, did you
in the process? I'm quickly copy pasting. There are 4 of them. And here we go. I'm so sad. My 3rd coffee is finished.
It's my first one.
Now I need to get a little bit back into proper coffee. I'm just doing Nespresso pods at the moment because I'm lazy and I don't have enough time to make proper coffee. There we go.
I did also.
It's not that it's bad coffee. It's good.
I did the pod coffee, the Nespresso thing. Man, so I got spoiled by good coffee here, and when I have to use this one, and I used this morning because I was just lazy to get up on time and do proper good coffee. But yeah, it's okay. So trying to look at our thing that we have here. So we have a bunch of stuff: Route53, VPC, code commit, pipeline. Okay, then we did the entire pipeline here. ECS, ECR, load balancers, perfect. Listeners, SSL listeners, perfect. And yeah, okay.
Let's quickly double check. So I've updated them on the name server. I'm just now waiting for the confirmation that the change has gone through. Let me just quickly double check here. Good question. Sorry, give me a second. I'll check my phone because I saw the mail come through there. Okay, I've got it there. I've successfully registered the domain, and there was an update, received an update, name servers. Yep, that has gone through at least on the admin side. Now it's a question of, as with all DNS, you tend to wait. Although it does look like it finished.
Welcome yes. to DNS adventures with Cobus and Darko.
We sit around and wait for DNS.
Exactly. That would be a boring stream.
Yep.
Like watching the grass grow. But okay, so this is in essence has created a record there, so that's fine. Actually, the validation record. Now I'm wondering, did you manually create an A record later on, or?
No, I did that in the code because there was at the bottom somewhere there is a pointing to the
DNS name. But I don't see
99% certain I did that.
Okay, that doesn't
rings
matter.
A bell.
We'll figure it out. That's not the
maybe if you go a bit higher in the code there. Sorry, I'm looking sideways because I have too many screens. Cool.
It's just service.
Bit more. I think I set that up before. See, once again, this is why we need to clean this up.
Yes, so much things here. Nope, this is just Route53. It doesn't matter. We'll create it. I can just add a record here. That's fine. That is not a problem. But I believe we did something. We did play. refresh my memory. Did we play around with this when it comes? Yes, we did. We did play around with adding. You know that we did this Route 53 HTTP to HTTPS thing,
Yeah, and we did the redirects and everything.
Yeah. We did those things, but they're missing.
Yeah,
The missing commit.
That's exactly what I'm doing now. So apologies for looking away. I'm quickly logging in because I have to get my 2FA, as all good people should have on their AWS account.
What is 2FA?
Cool. I'm assuming this was been streaming. Let's check. I'm trying to remember. It is one of the cases where so much happens in a week that I have no idea where we were. Not this past Friday, the previous one.
But the last time we did this was actually on not this Friday, but the Friday before. So on the 21st, of August. So it was a while ago, to be honest.
Oh, yeah.
The last 2 times it was Cobus who was doing the code. So I'm completely out of this. But definitely one of the things that we're going to be focusing on after we finish this is trying to split this up. At least into multiple different types of stacks. So, because again, Route 53 and those things should definitely sit in a separate stack because we should not create domains and those kind of very, very permanent things or very slow changing things in the main stack. Because if I do CDK destroy, it's going to remove my Route 53 hosted zone, which in essence is also going to change the name servers that hosted the Cobus's hosted zone is pointing somewhere else. So we want to make sure that those static things are actually contained somewhere else.
Cool. And just to confuse myself, I've got a bean streaming as well as a bean streaming CDK environment. I'm thinking it's that second one. Yeah, it's one of those. The challenge with being able to use Cloud9 is it's like a couple of clicks to spin up an environment, and then it's off the whole time, so it doesn't cost you money.
Yeah.
So I've got 2, 4, 6, 7 at the moment.
Oh wow.
I need to clean up a little bit.
Okay, so this has been created right now. Everything is successfully created. Apparently, even the DNS validation is successful.
That worked. That is great.
So let's actually add a domain name here. So const, how are we gonna call it? Main domain name, right? Horrible. New R53. A record.
So I was naughty. I'm going to send you the code. It's only a couple of lines, but I did see that I did not commit this. So naughty Cobus.
Okay.
Cool. Let's do that. Code block. Boom. There you go. I even have some emojis in there for us.
Yes, emojis. Okay. I see this one. Okay. Let's create this. This should actually be fine. So
there are 2 variables that we might. Yeah, the 2 variables.
That's fine. I'm gonna have to move this thing anyway. So actually, let me move it underneath here because they have to be underneath the DNS name. So creating a Route 53 record. In this case, it's gonna be just R53 dot. What is it? A record. So we're going to be creating a new A record within this scope, and the name is going to be bean streaming ALB dub, right? Dub.
Yep.
And then let's do some properties.
Cool. Yeah.
The properties
we just need
in this
the zone
case. Why is this? Sorry. New. Yes. The properties in this case, we just need the zone, and that's going to be hosted zone, like that. And then the target is going to be R53 record target, right? We're going to basically pointing it to somewhere where we're actually going to be ping from alias.
Yep.
And we're going to be doing it new R53 target. Aha, we need a module. I'm missing that, see?
Okay. That's good. So that's good for not just pasting. We actually need 2 modules, although we didn't use the patterns one last time. We just add. Oh, no, we do. Ooh, yes, we do. Okay.
We do?
Okay.
That's fine.
Yeah, we need the patterns one for the redirect, but I'll I'll guide you on that section because
Okay.
Yeah.
Targets like that. And then we can do R53 patterns like that.
Yep. Yeah. Here we go.
Cool. We just need to actually import them. Now, the proper way I'm going to do this right now to keep the same version as before is actually modify this thing. So if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do, instead of doing npm install, I'm going to do targets like this, and then patterns like this.
So you should be able to do it with npm by doing @ and then the version number after the module that you want to install.
Yeah,
if you want to pin
okay.
it. Yeah.
Fair point.
It's just more typing. And we are lazy.
And we are lazy.
So look here, boom, it's still running.
So
Yeah, I must say, I'm
npm
quite happy. I'm quite happy with my new setup. I can actually finally, it doesn't look like this. Sorry, I'm just checking the main feed. There's not too much vibration anymore because I was making people seasick with my setup last week.
Yeah, it was a bit wobbly, but that's fine. Okay, so we've done this. Route53 targets and Route53 patterns. So Route53 targets.
New targets, load balancer targets.
Load balancer target. And what is the load balancer target? We just need to point it to WebLV, right? WebLV.
Yeah.
Webam.
Yep, there we go. Cool.
This should work.
Okay, and yeah, now we can just duplicate that whole block for the www version
So
because we want the Apex and the www.
Yeah, so this is going to be this is going to be, okay. I did .ww already, but let me actually just do it like that. Apex, like that. It's basically the same thing, right?
Yeah.
Oh, we just need a record name here. Record name, www.
Yep, in quotes.
Quotes.
Strings. Yep. There we go. And there we go. So that's now sorted. Now the last little bit is the redirect that we have to create.
Redirect, yes. So this redirect is actually coming from a Route53 pattern. There's a module called Route53 patterns, and one of them is actually HTTP redirect, right? So HTTPS redirect. So basically, it's going to redirect from HTTP to HTTPS automatically within the Route53. So that's pretty cool.
Cool. So I think just before we pop that in, welcome to the other people that have joined us. I see there are a couple of new ones on the stream. This is a twice a week. I can't say bi-weekly because while technically yes, it's bi-weekly, most people interpret that as every second week, although it can also be twice a week. Yes, English is fun. So we have a session on Mondays and Fridays at 11 a.m. Central European time. And what we're doing is we are building out a production-ready ECS cluster using Amazon or AWS CDK. And we are now at the point where previously we took a domain that I had in my account that wasn't shared, and we've now quickly registered a new domain, and now we're just fixing up the code that I also forgot to commit. So we're now at the point where we're just doing the redirects. So we've already done the Apex registration, which is the beardedbeanstreaming.com, and then also the www version of that. And now what we want to do is the redirects, because what we want is two sets. The first one is to redirect anything from HTTP to HTTPS, but also at the same time, if it's www, to redirect it just to the plain Apex domain, so beardedbaldbeans.com.
So we want to make sure that if anybody does www, whatever, it actually gets moved to target domain, which is beardedbaldbeans.com, like that. And I just need to set the zone, and that zone is a hosted zone, like so. And this should work. Oh, sorry. Whoops. That's good. So these things actually set up all the DNS stuff we need. And lastly, we need to actually point our no, this is no, that's fine. Okay, so this
we need this. There's one little bit we need. Yes, yeah.
Okay. So we need to actually add this thing to the load balancer. So load balancer DNS.
Well, not added. So what we do is first we need to go rip out some
listener.
code up there because at the moment we've got on the port 80 listener for the web for the load balancer, we are sending traffic to our containers. And what we want to do is we want to be able to do a redirect rather, because remember you still have to accept the connection to send back that 301 permanently moved response.
Okay.
So we need to rip out wherever we define that load balancer listener. There should be a
There's a port 80 here.
yeah, there's an add listener we should have or add targets. Yes, so that port 8, yeah, so those lines 135 to 138, we need to rip out and replace that with that add action.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, come on. Thank you. Oops.
Oh.
Oops.
Trying to cut and paste?
No, this is actually the wrong syntax. So, like that. Like that.
Wow.
Web listener add action, right? We're going to be adding an action, HTTP. I call it HTTP to HTTPS. Again, this is just a string that identifies this, and then close this off. Action. This is something which we struggled last time. I remember this. ELB2, and then it's a listener action. Then it's redirect, and then like that. I'll close it off. What is the action? We need to do protocol. Right? HTTP. Actually, so it's a string. HTTPS. Like so. Port
443.
443. Is it a string again? 443.
Yeah.
And permanent. Defining is this a permanent redirection? We're gonna set it to true. Yep. And then host is gonna be
the domain. But we should probably extract this into a variable since we're referencing it a couple of times.
So let's actually do stop it. Let's do. I like to do my variables at the top. So var. Const.
There we go.
Domain. Actually, apex domain equals.
This gives me PTSD flashbacks. I worked on a mobile app at one point. It was a Android app, and it had these kind of variables at the top, which was it was generically named like something like URL. I think it was, and because it's Android, it was Java. So this was a public static defined string throughout the application. So, and then what happened in this app was that depending on where in the app in terms of the execution, that public static URL value would be changed, and that's then the one that you would be calling. But it entirely depended on where you were in the actual code base, which was absolutely insane to keep track of what actually was being called and what the values were set. Also, didn't happen that helped that the code base was in Spanish and I had to translate all the comments.
Code base was in Spanish. Wow. Okay.
Yeah. It was an interesting challenge because it took me about 10 minutes to figure out what the comment yarn management meant.
Okay.
Threads.
Thread, really? Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
I've never commented code in my own language. It would sound too weird. Even if I'm doing a code for myself, I write comments in English for no reason. I find it weird that I would like write things in my language in code. So, but yeah. Okay, so this should actually work. Hopefully.
Cool.
Last word. So we created an A record here. Actually, we created 2 A records. Hosted zone like this, yeah. Not J.
No J. No J. No J.
Yeah. That. Hosted zone. That's fine. That's all good.
Yep. We have got that up and running.
Okay.
So look here. Cool.
So we try if this works. npm run build. Now you don't have to run npm run build. CDK deploy does it for you, but I always like to run npm run build, so I see the failure up front like this. Douglas, what are we doing? We are actually building a fully fledged application, a container-based application on AWS with all the bells and whistles. So we're building it using infrastructure as code. In this case, we're using AWS Cloud Development Kit. So that's the whole point. And this is like episode 5 or 4 of this. So it's a long-running series. But hey, even if you're in the middle of this, it's always fun to have a look at. So I have hosted zone. Yes, this is something I missed. You do a typo once and then depend on your IntelliSense to work, and then it breaks your entire code. So let's see if this will work. By the way, this is a very noob-friendly stream, so it's fine. We're open to talk about anything you may ask. So even if this might seem complicated at the moment, trust me, it's not as complicated. So the build actually worked. So we are able to potentially deploy things.
Yeah. So let me drop that link quickly while you go on with that. We don't have a nice. Actually, I've got a nice Bitly set up. Bitly. Because we don't have a channel name yet. So if you could subscribe, that'll actually help us get the channel name. And there we go. Let me just double check.
Okay, so
there we go.
Error
Boom.
Failed. HTTP listener needs to have at least one default action or target group call at target groups or add actions. So what did I make a mistake on? I'm a WebLB listener.
Sorry, I missed the...
So the error here was, it's actually coming from CloudFormation. Listener needs at least one default action or target group.
Oh, yes, okay.
So
let me jump.
We have actually... Which listener is that?
It'll be the 443 listener, because what we need to do is similar that what we had. Where's Darko?
I see. We need to add targets to it. Right.
We need to be able to, because how it works. So this is an interesting thing with your application load balancer that some people are not familiar with, is that it's a nested list of, in terms of how it matches things. So by default, if nothing matches, then
I'm sorry, I made the mistake here. So I actually removed this.
I think I told you to, so it's fine.
Okay.
I led you into the wrong path. I'm sorry.
But please continue what you were saying.
Yes.
Apologize.
So how it works is that it's a catch mechanism. So what you do is you've got a set of criteria to catch the different requests that come in. So either on the host level or on the path level or on a combination, and you have to assign priorities to them. So it literally goes like rule 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and works through them. And whichever is the first catch is how it does that routing of the request to whatever is backing it. Because remember, the load balancers can do containers, EC2 instances, Lambda functions. There's a whole list of things that they can make requests to. And at the very bottom, you need a default one, because at the end of the day, if nothing matches, it needs to go somewhere. And this is what this error is. It's complaining because we didn't set the default.
Yes, exactly. By the way, this is another version of a stream where we migrate something off a different account to another account. And this is why you should use infrastructure as code. Because if imagine in a hypothetical world that infrastructure as code doesn't exist, and Cobus did all of this in his account, and all of a sudden we decide, you know what, let's switch accounts, let's do it in a completely different account. I would have to manually recreate every little detail. And for me, what it took right now was just we were missing some code in the commit. That's fine. But basically what I had to do is create a zone, add a few little things to it, and bam, this thing works in a different account. So for all of you people who talk about cost of transition, there it is. So basically just a few things here. So, it does, I like this because it actually uses Lambda functions for a bunch of things. It's going to create a Lambda functions for redirecting or something like that. It does a Lambda function for redirecting and all those things. So. Douglas, can Python be used for cloud computing? Oh, absolutely, it can. Today we are using, depends on what you mean by cloud computing, but when it comes to Cloud Development Kit, which is a framework to develop your infrastructure on AWS, there are a bunch of languages supported, and one of them is Python as well. So we're using TypeScript because we just started with TypeScript, not because it's the best, because there's more examples in TypeScript out there. So. But absolutely you can. So,
okay. So, and also just on that, In terms of they're using Golang. So at AWS, we actually use multiple different languages for backends. There's a big chunk in Java, but I have heard teams use Rust, Ruby, Python,
Perl. There's Perl as well.
Perl. Yeah, there's Perl as well. What else is there? There's pretty much something of everything. So we use, because remember, it's a microservices architecture. So the services in itself can be encapsulated. Now, while we went through this, just having said that, because I went through this discussion at multiple prior companies about, hey, we've now got the ability to deploy whatever language we want because we are using microservices and containers. That doesn't mean you just go, okay, let's add any language we want to. There's this whole discussion how to do it responsibly, because remember, while we've got the tooling to build and deploy with Darko, that's standardized. So you build a container, you deploy the container, that's great. But that's not the only thing you need for languages. You need to figure out what libraries you're using it, how are you hosting those, how do you access them? And also very important, what happens if that person leaves? Because I have seen a company where a person wrote something in a language that wasn't that mainstream, and they were very adamant that no, they have to do it because of performance and whatever reasons, and then they left like 2-3 months later after the service had just released. Net effect was the service had to be rewritten. So do it responsibly.
Do it responsibly. And I mean, even if you do have a choice of any language in the world to write it in, and it's much easier to kind of adapt, usually the better languages and the people with better skills kind of stake out, and you kind of end up choosing just a few languages to run your entire microservices in. So you're not going to see a company where you have 15 different languages running 15 different microservices. That just doesn't work because it's just the tooling around it and the knowledge. You know, you have to have a specific set of knowledge available to people. So. Okay, well, this is still happening. Let's actually check out on CloudFormation to see what is going on here exactly.
So dream traveling, that comment around background in networking and still being able to do things on AWS, that's a very valid one, because at some point you will always get down to the networking layer where that is a challenge. It's either you can't route your request, or DNS is misconfigured, or there's something else funky going on. For example, the way the packets are being sent. So I always recommend to people, don't just say I'm in the cloud, I don't need to know about networking, because at the end of the day you do.
Yeah, exactly.
That's normally troubleshooting 101, being able to just figure out, is my request actually getting where it's supposed to?
I know when people, so I used to work in premium support in AWS, and usually it was, oh, there's a network issue, right? And the first thing you do is like, okay, enable VPC flow logs to see what the networking issue is. Like if you're seeing packet drops and those kind of things. And people who don't have experience with networking, they just get scared when they look at the VPC flow logs. It's like, what is this? Because VPC flow logs are basically logging everything that happens within your VPC or virtual private cloud. So if you're looking into some rogue traffic or some package drops or something that's potentially a problem, VPC flow logs are great, but you still need to be able to understand them.
No, I must say that's one of the things I know. What I feel is a decent amount about networking, but when I, for example, open up Wireshark, that's when I realize I know very little.
Yeah.
It's
Wireshark was always this very complex tool to look at. Like, the things you can see there, my God. Oh, it creates a CloudFront distribution. Interesting.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I'm quite curious how that happened, because but that's with that HTTPS redirect. That's interesting.
It's the pattern, right? So I really want to see this. This is very important because the redirect, because this can introduce extra cost here and a long deploy time. So if you want to do the CloudFront, interesting. This transfer allows creating a record from domain A to domain B using Amazon CloudFront and Amazon S3. Ooh. See, this is very interesting.
Yeah, I did not realize that. Why does it feel like it did that very quickly last time, though?
I don't know. I really don't know. So yeah, so right now the thing that's holding us up right now is that the HTTP redirect pattern we used. Now this is different in CloudFormation. So in CloudFormation you have basic resources that you exist there on AWS, and you kind of have to make it yourself. A lot of times on CloudFormation you have to do some magic with Lambda functions to do things. CDK does a lot of these things for you. And for example, if we wanted to set up an HTTP redirect, for example, from a domain from foo to bar, right? So it enables HTTPS redirect on top. We could have done this. We done this with this Route53 pattern. Now, this Route53 pattern actually creates a CloudFront distribution, right? So it creates a CloudFront distribution, creates an S3 bucket, creates an alias record, and the certificate that's going to be used by this. So it creates a bunch of things. It doesn't create just one thing like a magical redirect, because that doesn't exist. It does it in this way. So it's a neat thing, but it might introduce a lot of costs. So if you're ever planning to use this, make sure that you understand that CloudFront can get pricey. I don't think it's expensive out of the box. I'm really interested in what is the pricing on CloudFront. Because I know that when I was talking to people, like, oh, well, you have a free tier, that's fine, but yeah, it's basically on the data transfer out. That's fine. Yeah. First per gigabyte is 8.5 cents per gigabyte. Okay. But it's very important. This actually takes a long time. It takes like 10 minutes to create a CDN. Well, it actually finished a bit sooner, but yeah. So it takes a few minutes to create a CloudFront distribution. So also, Dream Traveling, thank you very much for supporting the content. We appreciate it. It's always fun to have folks on stream which we can just chat to. It's not just about us talking to each other and looking at some code. It's also talking to you all. So feel free to ask any questions at any point. So.
Yeah, sorry, Claude, just responding. I have to respond to this question because unfortunately work does not pause when we go streaming. And as everybody should know, it's we are in our Reinvent Cycle, which is a lot of fun. So the gears are turning very quickly to get ready for Reinvent, even though it's 3 months away. Yeah. But I mean, just to put it in context, Scary, I am starting to schedule the first sessions and things that I'm involved in for January next year already. Middle of January.
Wow.
Yeah, it's yeah.
I need to do a bunch of recording also. I think the Reinvent recording is coming up soon as well. So
no, there's like a lot happening soon.
This year, at least for me, even with this entire plague thing, went by so fast. I basically, it feels like I started this year yesterday with all the, like, I've seen you and I seen each other in January, right? The last time, and it was like, it was yesterday, literally. I felt like it was 2 weeks ago. So this year went by really fast for me. I guess it's all the sitting at home and nothing.
I'm actually just realized now we've only seen each other twice in real life, because the other one was at the DACH Dev Days last year.
3 times. Haha, you forgot the first time I met you. Yeah. So I met you for the first time at the London Summit 2019 when we were doing the Deep Racer track.
Yes.
That was like your first or second week at Amazon or something like that.
Yeah, no, that was... Do you know how long ago and how many conferences ago that was?
I know.
Yeah,
it was May last year, May or June last year, I think, like that, something like that.
Yeah, I mean, let me quickly quantify it. So these are some, I mean, if you look at some of the lanyards of things I've been in the last 2 years.
Yep. I think every person in this role has a collection of those things. I'm hanging on the door as well, so it's like it's like a badge of honor. How many conferences have you been into? So
yeah.
Okay, package manager, go away.
Let's see. Okay, so now we're just basically waiting here. That's
it has created basically all of it. I think what it's doing right now, it may be just doing another. No, it's actually done all the certificates here.
Let me see if I can actually hit the URL already. I'm curious.
You may be able to do that. So if I would go to baldbeardedbeans.com, nope, it can't. It doesn't know what it is. So if I do...
Well, so here's the interesting part. The redirect is kind of there. This is interesting. Can we jump down to where we define our SSL certificate? Because I am seeing that we have error that it doesn't like the certificate because of it
Ooh.
doesn't have all the names in it. So let's quickly just double check that we did that correctly.
So we
Because
did
what you
this
can do
domain
is
name, this one, right?
yes.
So bearded bald beans.
The alternative name.
Do we have to set up alternative names as well?
We do because remember we're redirecting from www to without www.
But this is the
Um,
www. Oh, but I think they should do it by itself, right? I think this entire this pattern should actually do
mhm.
that, because looking at the documentation here, it
Yes,
should.
yes, that is the redirect. That does not issue the
Okay.
certificate. That's the
Okay.
challenge.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
So what we'll
So
have to do there is we'll have to look at that. Remember there was that application listener certificate. Actually, let's not go down the rabbit hole. Let's just see how we add an alternative name to the DNS validated certificate. So just for those who aren't familiar, what you can do with ACM, which is Amazon Certificate Manager, I almost said container manager there, is that you can specify up to, I think, 30 alternative domains. So you can have, let's say, for example, in our case, bearded bald beans, and then
yeah.
you can have www.beardedbaldbeans. You can even add wildcards. You can even add completely different domains to a single certificate. And then when that request comes in, the load balancer is able to differentiate which of the domains it is by using SNI, which is server name identification, I believe. So initially, this is not many years ago. This was an issue because what happened is when you connect to a web server, the DNS obviously translates into an IP address. It would initiate a connection to that IP address. Say, please give me the HTTPS certificate,
Right.
and
Right.
then
Right.
the
Right.
server would go like, okay, but which one do you want? And obviously, it would normally issue just the first one. So that was a problem back in the day. Now it's not anymore. We've got SNI, where part of that initial request tells it what host it's looking for. So we
We
can
can
actually
actually
build
use
that in.
subject alternative names. I think that's
Yes,
it.
there we go.
Alternative. Yeah.
That
So
sounds good.
if we do subject alternative names, we can do.
Hmm.
This is a. We can do the domain like that, and that should be okay.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna just wait for this to kind of finish until this is done. I'm gonna also move this from this. I'm gonna do the Apex domain name, so I properly use the variables we created up above. And yeah, this should be all fine. So as soon as this thing finishes setting up, so it's creating a record set right now. Which record set is it creating? HTTPS record alias. Okay. So it's doing record alias for HTTPS. Interesting. Create in progress, CDN distribution, that's all fine.
Oh, yeah. Wireshark. Sorry, I apologize. I've not been paying attention to the comments today, and I should be. While we're on that, and we've just passed the hour at the moment, maybe a quick shout out from the people watching us to let us know where you're connecting from, because it's always interesting to see where in the world people are joining us from. Because we are in the middle of Europe friendly time zone, although we are, I think, 10,000 miles apart. Or sorry,
Exactly.
kilometers, not miles.
Kilometers, yeah.
Kilometers. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm in Cape Town. Darko is in Berlin,
Berlin,
Germany,
yeah.
and Cape Town's in South Africa. For those not familiar with it, cool. We have got Netherlands,
Joburg. You have Johannesburg. Greece, Belgium. Nice. Hello,
nice.
everybody. Well, everybody's from our time zones, so
Yeah,
it's
this
not
is
too late
awesome.
or too early for you, so that's all good.
And also, Darko, you'll be happy to know that we finally have a bit of a winter. We even had a bit of snow this weekend. It went down to 5 degrees Celsius last night. We were like, don't know how to cope.
Well, yeah, yesterday was a rainy day in Germany all the time, so we have somebody from Hawaii. Wow.
Oh wow,
You have
nice.
no idea what's going on, honestly, but it's interesting. Well, it must be very well. It's not well. It's late for you. Yeah. Wow.
Oh
Asato
wow,
says
yeah.
CloudFormation custom resource will fail. It will take 1 hour to fail. Are you talking about the record set here? Because one of the things that has that's basically currently only one of the things that we're waiting for is Route53 record set. Every other resource has been created, so everything is create complete. The only thing that's missing is that, and that's the Route53 DNS record set. This one, right? I don't see it showing up here for some reason. Now I don't know why. What kind of a record set is that? Is it? I don't really know. Maybe I can find it out. Find out in the template. Because here's a great thing. You can actually search the template. It's actually creating a record for this one.
Okay. Oh.
But that's fine. I
mean, SSL
already.
So our certificate is now happy. Our SSL error is gone.
Okay.
Yeah. Let me just quickly see if I can find something fun.
Way SSL works.
Yeah, we are working.
Way.
Let's just see quickly. Let's just open this up because I think I might have I have a much better container that we need to use, Darko. I will send it to you quickly.
Okay.
Because that page is way too boring.
I know. This is just a sample one.
Yeah.
Oh, will it work? Will this work? I mean, it will not work until the deployment finishes. But let's actually change this for future. So we're going to be changing our default application. Now, mind you, we are currently setting up this to use an image, right? A simple ECS sample, and this ECS sample is this lovely simple PHP application. This is just as a placeholder because the first time you're launching your application, you need to have a sample application. Otherwise, if there's no application in the container repository, it's just going to fail, right? So we're using a sample application in this case, but Cobus has a better idea. So let me actually edit this. No, come on.
So quick question, Drunk Owl, is that not getting started commentary on what we're doing, or is it a bot command that we don't yet know of? Because I do know that there is a chatbot running on this channel that I'm not 100% familiar with yet.
Yeah. I don't know. There's a bunch of bot. We don't manage the bot on this channel, at least the AWS channel. So I don't really know what that thing does. So getting started. It would be great if we can manage those things, but maybe we can. Okay, image.
Let's see.
And then we're gonna ECS. Container image from registry, and it's going to be .va/nyan cat web. Haha, I think everybody knows what this is.
Yep, it has to be a lot prettier. We have to make it better. Yeah.
So
that's just too boring.
So this is taking a while. So why is this thing taking so long? Because and also this record should have been created already. So looking at this one, this is record set that's dub, and it's already here. Yeah, it's.
I mean, we're using it.
Yeah.
There's an interesting comment that it'll fail. So I'm quite curious to see how this will pan out in the end.
Yeah, Santos says that the CloudFormation custom resource will fail. Like, I understand it, but I don't see. I don't see it. And this is not a custom resource, right? So this is a regular CloudFormation resource. It's a Route53 record set, so it should work. There is no reason. It may fail. I mean, this is taking so long that I see it failing for some reason, because it should not take as long of a time to do that. But again, this is DNS, so you never know. See? Okay, try to create resources, but it already exists. I think this is the problem with that pattern, and it's because we already created a resource from the dub. I think this is the problem here. So, it's going to delete all the things. It's going to create the distribution and all. So it's actually going to completely roll back all the changes we made. So, but it's fine. That's okay. We're gonna be making this work in a moment or so, as soon as it goes away. Now, CloudFront to the distribution takes a moment to delete and to create. So,
how about I entertain you with some poetry?
With poetry? Oh, okay.
Yes, because there is a haiku by at least this version of it that I see in front of me is attributed to SS Broski. And for those not familiar, haiku is a specific format where it's, I think, 5 syllables, 7, and then 5 syllables, so 3-line poem. And the poem reads as follows. It's not DNS. There's no, there is a no, but what? So there's no way it's DNS. It was DNS.
It was DNS. It's always DNS.
Yeah, it's DNS is really one of those rabbit holes. I remember a few years back, there was the popular interview question that goes that you enter a URL in the browser, you hit enter, what happens? And then you start the technical discussion, because the interesting part with that question was that there are so many different routes you could go in terms of what do you want to talk about? How does the DNS resolve? How does it rooted? How does the actual packet structure work? But an interesting answer I got from someone was that the companies, because the URL for that specific interview question was a e-commerce platform, and they said when you enter that URL in the browser, your company will hopefully start making some money because people purchase products, which was a very interesting angle on that question, given that it's so open-ended.
Yeah. Well, the thing about DNS, at least in this day and age, is that the DNS is kind of the only thing we have to wait for. Way back when you would do like system administration and web servers, like rebooting servers, installing servers, those were the things you would wait for, because like, oh, let me bootstrap my server. It takes like an hour. Today, the only thing you wait for is DNS, and that's it. It's literally the only thing you have to wait for. Everything else is relatively snappy, and it comes, and it's built up really in a much faster way than it was before. The only thing that's kind of like, okay, I have to give it a moment now is DNS, and even that is changing. But mind you, if you're using like alias records, so AWS Route53 has a thing called the alias record. It uses something that is not like a DNS standard. It uses something on top of it, Route53, that basically makes DNS record changes quite faster, and it can be like in seconds faster. How does it actually do it? It doesn't even belong in the DNS RFC, so it's something completely out of left field. But it's there, so that's kind of makes it fast. The only thing that, if you want to just use standard record sets, that's the thing that takes time. So, I think the problem there is how would you solve DNS timings or DNS long waiting times in 2020? I mean, I understand why it's like that. At least why it was built like that, because you had to have these how they call the root DNS servers local present across the world, and they were limited, of course.
Well, you still have that, but I mean, if you think about it, it's the caching that's the problem. It's not the how to look it up. It's
the TTL.
Yeah.
The TTL, there was a reason why the TTL was so large, so you would have to reduce the number of queries to something. But because the internet is much faster now and it's much more available, TTLs can be much shorter, in my opinion. So again, does it make sense to do that? Is it a waste of compute cycles? It is, but for certain applications, having a lower TTL makes much more sense.
Yeah, well, if all the DNS servers in between actually listen to that TTL, that's the other joy of the internet.
TTL overrides.
Yeah, it's I've come to realize that some people believe that firstly the internet, and also like the specifications in terms of how to implement things is actually set and completely perfectly defined, so everybody builds things exactly the same way and everything is interoperable and we have joy. If that were the case, I probably assume we would need quite a lot fewer developers out there. I mean, my one that I remember, and this will give away my age, is that back in the day with SOAP, there was a specific implementation that differed between the Java and C# implementations, and it was always made to get it going. They finally did. The libraries ultimately caught up and figured out how to build it in, so you didn't have to worry about it. But it was a nightmare because there was ambiguity in the spec, and they, unfortunately, the two implementation parties went different routes for it.
Oh wow, that's a problem. So what I think this will fix now. Here's where we went wrong. So we introduced a couple of things here. We have two DNS records here, right? We have the this one, and we have this one. But we also have patterns. The patterns are basically doing a bunch of things here. They're creating redirects for HTTP to HTTPS. So one of the things I think it will fix if we remove this one, right? If we remove the record name, right, it should
Okay.
fix the other one. So, but here's the thing: we need to do it like this, like so. And I think I need to do it like this for the time being. I want to remove this one and then npm run build. So I don't want it to deploy the other one right now. I want it to remove the original one so we don't get conflicts.
Okay. Okay, so first we get it out there, and then we figure out what,
exactly.
instead of waiting for all the long bits. Okay, that's actually smart.
Correct. Yeah.
Which is also programming 101 is make small changes quickly and roll them out.
So there's it's in general, and now because it's a programming practice, but because infrastructure and everything is like this, make small reversible changes that if they happen, if something occurs on those changes, something bad occurs on those changes, do not impact production so much. So
yeah.
And my question always is to people when I talk about operations: when do incidents occur? Do you know when any incident occurs in your environment?
When something changed.
Exactly. When change happens. That's the only time anything happens. Well, mostly. But most of the times, nothing happens until there's a change. So when you make a change, you make sure that change is good.
Yeah, no, it's but coding, the interesting thing with coding is that I haven't verified the stat, but it kind of makes sense if you think about the number of new people joining the industry. Is that because it's growing at such a rapid rate, the average developer, and please note average, using a bell curve, has got 5 years experience. Now, if I think back to what I knew at the 5-year mark,
Right.
And what I know now, I would not have allowed me to touch production with a pole.
Of course.
Reason being is I remember being cocky and knowing everything, and I can fix that.
I would not hire myself right now. Like the 10 year ago Darko, I would not hire him right now. So
I'd still hire him, but I would put someone to keep an eye on what he's doing to service. Because at that point, I remember I was my very first job at production access on day 2 already, which was super interesting because I couldn't code then. But yeah, I did learn. But I mean, the comment there being is that there's such a large volume of information to consume and learn. So if you think about what are the first, let's say, 2 years worth of information you want someone to learn, I can guarantee you that we'll get 50 different answers at least in terms of what you need to know, depending on the challenges you face. So that's why the industry has got this situation where a lot of people know a lot of things, but there's also a lot of areas that you don't know. And that, unfortunately, never changes.
That is very, very much true. Yeah. I remember one of my first jobs as a Windows admin in a relatively big company. My first day, I got domain enterprise admin access. My first day on the job, like, oh, let me just add your account to the enterprise admin. I mean, for me back then, it was like, yeah, of course, I'm an admin, right? But now, buddy, enterprise admins, and for those of not coming from a Windows world, enterprise admin is like the top level function within the Microsoft domain, the Active Directory, all those things. So enterprise admin should not be used at all. Nobody should ever be enterprise admin. So there's one person who's enterprise admin, and there's one account who's enterprise admin, and that account is only used on Active Directory forest rebuilds or something like that. It's like something massive changes, but not on like a day-to-day thing. So and the weird part about that is like I was using my enterprise admin account for like my local login.
So that's actually a fun story. I'm not going to name the company, but there was a situation where a fairly large company had malware infect the domain controllers. And as in worldwide, it encrypted and took over every single domain controller that was online because it managed to get admin access to the one box and then propagate everywhere. Wow. The good news of it was that there was one branch that had communication issues and their comms were completely down. And what ended up happening there is, firstly, they actually scrambled to get hold of anybody at that branch saying, do not reconnect the line, because that was the last encrypted copy that they had left. And then what they ended up doing is taking that domain server and literally shipping it from where it was to the head office, making obviously backups and everything across, because when you move physical hard drives, you run the risk of breaking them. So it was quite amusing to see how they managed to fix it. But yeah, it was, yeah.
I did have to once promote a read-only domain controller, or RODC as they would call it, read-only domain controller. I once had to promote it to like an actual domain controller because every other domain controller in the region was down, and we were operating like on a geographical scale. And one of the things that I find interesting right now, because it's 2020, nobody cares about internet speeds. It just works, right? But back when I used to,
not valid.
Okay, ish, right? But in most use cases, at least in Europe, it's now.
Oh wait, hold on. What did I hear first of all there? I'm sorry.
Yes, I know. But like, so here's the thing: like 10 years ago, I had to deal with 128 kilobit connections, right? So I had like a remote store location which had only 128 kilobit MPLS connection, and that's all it had, like nothing else. And you had to dedicate traffic to domain, like the DNS part. So like we could not have enough traffic to not have a domain controller there. So we actually had to host a domain controller there, a read-only domain controller, which is going to sit inside just for people to log in and log out, because 128K need to be split across some multiples of things, including streaming of Citrix applications or virtual applications.
Ouch.
So
that's rough. Yeah. No, but I mean, just context quickly. So you talk about that 128K MPLS connection, which was not that common for us here. Businesses would have it, but I mean, home connection. I mean, if you had normal phone dial-up with a modem, that was considered like, wow.
No, absolutely. But I'm talking about the year 2011, right? 2011 here. So it's not so long ago.
Same.
Yeah, and this was like a business, and it that's the connection it had for 10 workers it had on that, like it had 10 computers in that location, and my god, it was an effort to do.
No, it's always fun.
Why are you confused right now? So CloudFormation custom resource. Okay, so so this is the certificate request resource. Okay, so it's the what is this certificate request resource? This is the, I'm not sure what this is. What this is about? There's something to request a certificate. Could it be the pattern? Maybe. I don't know. But it takes a moment or so. Ratham says you couldn't download floppy with that speed. Oh, you can. The slowest internet speed I ever worked with was 33K, right? 33K. Yeah, that's the slowest one I've worked with dial-up.
I did 14.4.
14.4. No.
The 14.4, and I went through the 14.4 to 28.8, which was like,
okay.
Wow. It's
I skipped that part of the world, but my first modem was a 56K modem, but the fastest modem you can get, at least on normal telephones, but the phone lines were bad. Like I come from my city at that time, that time was 2003. We still use analog phones, right? Analog phone lines, and the phone lines in the ground were made from old aluminum cables, and like you would barely get 30K of transfer rate. So like when I say analog phones, I mean there was no tone dialing. It was just analog phone. So yeah, I remember back then you can actually hear the cars driving across the street, because they would drive over the street and the phone lines would be underneath, and you would hear the vibrations. It was so bad. So getting 33K was a big thing to get. Yeah.
No. And also fun for those on the stream. Can say that this is where it was public first. So I'm actually switching roles tomorrow. We'll still be here, don't worry. It's now because we are putting out an ad for a South African-based developer advocate. I'm moving to the global-based online team. So I'll be doing exactly what I'm doing now, which is a lot of online stuff, and continue to focus on that going forward. So I'll still do in-person events, but the focus will be more on the online content.
Exactly. So, but nothing is changing for the short time. So it's still going to happen.
I mean,
the same. Most of the things are going to keep happening. Cobus and I will be streaming together. So not a massive change for you as our audience, but big change for Cobus. And I'm congratulating you.
Cool. Just want to check something here quickly. Yeah, because the focus is with the online stuff. I'm actually enjoying it quite a lot, and there was an opportunity to join the team for that, and I thought that would be fun. And you could sound a little bit happier that I'm staying on Darko. It's like, yeah, for the time being, nothing will change.
It's fine, I guess.
Yeah. Stuck with him still.
I was hoping this
Yeah.
will say like, "Oh, I'm going. Hey, goodbye, Cobus," and just ship you off. No.
When you have the party just as you leave the door.
Yeah. No, it's gonna stay here for a while, so which is fine. Which I wouldn't be able to do this myself. So it would not be bearded bald beans. We have to remove.
Yes, it would be
that's
bearded.
no fun.
Yes,
that's no fun.
Then we have to deal with all of this DNS again.
Speaking of DNS, as you can see, this is taking quite a long time because DNS is consistent as much as my internet connection back in 2003, and we're reaching the hour-and-a-half mark. So here's the thing. What's going to happen right now is I'm going to finish this off camera. I'll let it complete. Next Friday, we're actually going to be doing something more interesting. We're going to do refactoring of the stack. As soon as this we got it working, we're actually going to do some refactoring of splitting things into their own elements. So we're not going to be using a one big old file for everything, because if I want to make a change to my application, I don't want to make change to my hosted zones and those kind of things. So I want to split that up. So we can kind of work in a much better way in this case. Okay. So yeah.
Are we also going to force ourselves by committing here on a live stream that we're going to switch to that shared account, so we don't have this Cobus forgot to commit code?
Yes. So next Friday, we're actually going to be running this on a shared account. A proper shared account. It's finishing. So we're going to be on a proper shared account that we're going to be using, not bouncing between Cobus's account and my account, and then every time doing something like this. Does not have an associated load balance.
No,
okay.
We'll fix that. We'll have this polished by next week.
Yeah. So, but not by Friday, not next week, Cobus. It's Friday.
Oh. Wait, we're Monday. Sorry, I'm like I said, I don't even know what day we're on anymore. It's
Is it March? So on Friday at the same time, please do join us if you wanna continue checking this code out with us. It has been fun for me so much. And I love seeing red font on my terminal. That's always good. So
and just quickly before we go, I just want to pop up the link for our Twitter handles if you're interested in following us there and reaching out to us. You can also find us on LinkedIn. We should probably add those LinkedIn details here for the next session as well, because I know some people prefer LinkedIn. But I mean, Darko and myself actually do quite a lot of different things during the week. I mean, this is, I think, the first of my 5 streaming sessions this week alone. Nice. So it's there's quite a lot happening, and it's we don't always tell it here because that'll end up in being an infomercial. And I do feel like we have to make some kind of comment because we haven't used this today yet, and I've got it configured here.
We haven't talked about, well, we talked about DNS, right? DNS is slow. It depends, right? So cool. I guess do join us next Friday. So basically this Friday coming up at the same time, where we finally will use this the single account, and where we will finally refactor. We'll start refactoring our code. Now, I will be dealing with the DNS stuff before we join in, just so we don't have to wait. I really would like to avoid all this waiting here. So make sure to join us on Friday at the same time for an hour and a half of bearded ball beans, I guess. So thank you very much, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your week. What can I say? And we'll be seeing you on Friday. I will be ending the stream right now.